will be here with you. So want to get into now the CM Punk, how it was done, the emotion, everything that went into it. Now, they didn't waste time, and we talked about it last week, the Impaler and myself on High Spots last week. We really were thinking that was a way he can go. We were actually hoping Punk would open the show and then get thrusted into a program with Kenny Omega. That did not happen, but there's time for that. There's time for everything. CM Punk isn't going anywhere. And I think CM Punk made a reference to that. He's like, we're going to get into all that. The only problem is we're not going to get into all of it tonight. But I'm going to have every Wednesday, Friday, and 4 pay-per-views a year on Sundays or Saturdays. And so there is no limit to the possible storytelling that's going to happen. And that's just the incredible part. But let's just talk about the moment. CM Punk comes out. And I use this word a lot during that moment with you. And I was watching the episode show with you, Kelly. Mm-hmm. The real moment when Punk came out, you really saw the emotion on his face. It was cathartic for him. It was cathartic for me. It was cathartic for wrestling fans who have missed this guy who, let's be honest, was probably one of the best to do it when he left at the height of his career. And in the fashion that he did it, basically saying, fuck you to the establishment. And he was saying, fuck you to the establishment for years before that. He was the hope that professional wrestling can still be good and pure, and it can still make magical moments happen. He wanted to bring more magical moments to professional wrestling. And what he would describe as toxic work environment he was in, it was toxic for him, whether it was toxic for anybody else. I'm not here to shit on WWE in this instance. He said he needed to get away from it. He needed some time off. He didn't quit, but WWE fired him. You can't blame him for firing him, which the way they did. But you saw the cathartism in the moment within him. He got on his knees and he was just looking around and he got teared up. And whether you like CM Punk or you hate CM Punk, the one thing everyone traditionally likes about him and loves him is because he's honest. He's not going to lie to you. And he said he didn't even write a promo. He had no idea what he was going to say. He had to feel it in the moment. And he didn't really, you knew he was being truthful. I'm sure he had some things he wanted to say, but in terms of his reaction, what a moment. And then as he's walking down, he kind of got over the fact, okay, this is big, this is emotional. Now I got to go do my job. But before he went and did his job, he saw a CM Punk fan, probably somebody he knew, gave him a big hug. And then he jumped in the crowd. That moment of just pure joy that, okay, this dude is back. This dude is back. He's in great shape. He hasn't wrestled in 7 years. And he's going to be able to still go. And we're going to see this guy on television at least once a week, if not twice a week, saying whatever the hell he wants. That alone is just, it gets you goosebumps that we have this talent back to work with all these other guys with like minds to make this magic. And then he goes out there and continues to cut as good of a promo as you're going to see in that moment. It couldn't have been better. You could have done it differently, but nobody was doing better than how AEW handled it. And give props to Jim Cornette, who has been extraordinarily critical of AEW. He came out and said, not how I would have done it, but it was better and it was perfect. And I have to echo that sentiment from Jimmy Cornette, because he's 100% right. I wouldn't have done it that way. I would have had him open the show, and I would have had him do something with Kenny Omega, because I want that right away, because I'm an impatient asshole, as my beautiful wife will tell you. But the emotion that was felt, it was the most real moment I've had in professional wrestling in my life. The most real magical moment I've had. That dude who saw that beautiful moment when we saw the dude shedding tears. And I don't get into people. I guess, were making fun of him on the internet. Look, wrestling fans, particularly WWE fans right now, are going to do everything to whip out their dicks and piss on the parade. But the fact of the matter is they can't change it. Their company is a joke right now. And they're a joke in a lot of ways. But again, we're not going to get into that right now. We're talking about CM Punk. So I don't care what anyone said. That doesn't change how I feel about that guy. It doesn't change how I feel about AEW. It was a real great moment. And CM Punk, as he did 10 years earlier, has changed the professional wrestling world again. And about it as kind of almost an outside, a casual professional wrestling
fan. A casual wrestling fan, AEW is everything right now because it's so fresh, it's so new, and it's talent the way it's supposed to be used. And Tony Khan's got a really great organic thing going on where people just getting to know him want to work with him. And that's, I think, how it happened with CM Punk, if I'm taking that correctly from those post interviews, is that, they just kind of became friends, and then all of a sudden it worked out that, he's going to be on AEW, and I think that moment where he came out, it gave him like a rebirth for the love of wrestling that he had, when he first started out. So it was like him, like, it was such a powerful, magical moment.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
Oh, I thought you were crying. I thought she's getting a little teary-eyed there. Like,
no,
you nailed it. No, you're exactly right. And again, what we said about CM Punk is the guy's not a liar. He tells you exactly how he feels. He tells you exactly how it is, unless he's being a heel of some sort. But even then, he's kind of like a Sami Zayn, because Sami doesn't lie either. Sami Zayn is kind of like that. They don't really lie their characters. They just are, when they're heels, they just have a really fucked up perspective. But you can always kind of, if you go behind why their character thinks that, you like it. That's why I kind of love Sami Zayn, but Sami Zayn can only do so much in the land of sports entertainment, obviously. Mm-hmm. But what a great moment. CM Punk just was everything. It really was. The ice cream bar thing, he literally gave everyone CM Punk ice cream bars as they were leaving. The elation and utter joy. And again, it was just so cathartic. That moment, a lot of healing and even more excitement. And for those of us who've been watching AEW since the beginning, who were watching Cody and the Bucks and everybody do what they were doing and Kenny out in Japan, that's who I am. I've been following these guys way before All Elite Wrestling. And I just want to take a moment to thank those guys, the four in particular we're talking about, Cody, the Bucks, and Kenny. And I want to thank Tony Khan. And I want to go a little deeper into Tony Khan right now, and you mentioned it. Mm-hmm. Holy shit. I mean, you talk about a guy who seems to have the pure, he's young enough, because I don't even think he's 40 yet. I think he's 38 or 39.
Yeah.
So he's young enough where he hasn't been jaded. He's literally a giant wrestling fan who has a dad who had a shit ton of money, who raised a brilliant, thoughtful, beautiful human being in Tony Khan, who also happens to love professional wrestling. He's one of us. He just happens to have a huge checkbook and also has a great business acumen, and also he's a perfect 10 in terms of what the wrestling world needed right now. Yes. And as great as Kenny and Cody and the Bucks were, and they couldn't have done it without them and a lot of other guys, Tony Khan, if you saw his reaction to the crowd, if you saw his reaction to CM Punk being interviewed, sitting right next to him, he literally looked like a 12-year-old kid who is just, it was one of the best, it has to be one of the best moments in Tony Khan's life. And let's talk about what they did. They announced 2 weeks, I think 2 or 3 weeks prior to the event, that they were having the second event in Chicago. This was all CM Punk's brainchild. Mm-hmm. He said, here's how we're going to do it. For those of you, because I saw this too. I saw a couple people and I'm like, you just don't, are they that stupid? Are they that ignorant? Well, it's good to see how Becky Lynch and Brock Lesnar's returns were kept a secret and everyone was legitimately surprised.
But that was the buzz. That was the buzz that kept everybody in tune. That was You know,
Everyone knew. So yeah, it was so. CM Punk said, "Look, we're going to." So this is what he did. He said, "Tony, here's how we're going to do it. Can we get a big building in Chicago, the United Center?" The United Center was vacant that day.
yep.
This was the story, folks. If you didn't hear it, CM Punk says, "Can we get the United Center? Let me make a phone call." Tony calls up. Yeah, they can get the United Center. You think you can sell it out? I think we can. The rumor went crazy in AEW. Everyone knew CM Punk was showing up. There were still the naysayers, particularly on WWE fans. No, he's never going to show up. He's never going to show up. Bullshit. And AEW keeps their secrets really well, folks, if you haven't noticed. They go out of their way to make sure that smart marks they're keeping the smart marks on their toes. So they said, okay, let's make it a really poorly bad secret. And also, everyone put Easter eggs all over the place on BTE. It's on BTE. It was on All Elite Wrestling Dynamite 2 weeks in a row with Kenny's t-shirts.
Yep.
Darby Allin saying the best in the world. It was literally an announcement, a wink and a wink that CM Punk. Yeah, it was an announcement, not an announcement. It's like big. It's gonna be a big announcement. Wink, wink. And even if you think you're the best in the world. So we knew it was a poorly kept secret, but still not having that confirmation, the anticipation built. We needed to see it. We needed to hear it. We needed to hear Color Me Bad's version of Cult of Personality.
Is it Color Me Bad? I don't think it is.
Pretty sure it's Color Me Bad. They did that other one too. I wanna fuck you up.
Oh no.
Better now, I wanna fuck you up.
No, that's Sex You Up.
Oh, look at my eyes, gonna sex you up.
Fantastic.
That is actually in Living Color, folks.
Right.
Oh no, it's Living Color.
Living Color.
Living Color was a TV show. And interestingly enough, that joke played really well back in the day. I remember Living Color actually, and they're a great band. I'm kind of making a joke because it was around the same time and they have the word color in them.
Yeah, highly edited show.
I'm leaving all that in. You got to be out of your mind. I want to thank Kelly Williams once again.